Hello, welcome back to another episode of Shaihalffull. This is a guest episode, so we have got a lovely guest with us. We've got Darius. Woohoo! I love how I always pretend there's an audience, but I am the audience because I'm so excited to have you. How are you? How has your week been?
I'm good, thank you. My week's been very busy, but that's like a standard week for me, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of, in comparison to other weeks, how busy is it? Is it just like usual busy, or is it like, no, this was too much?
This is like 7 out of 10. It's like coming to the end of we're prepping for the end of like Q2. So there's so many different things that need to happen before people go off on holiday.
Yeah.
Supporting different young people in different ways as well. So there's just a lot on our plate to be kind of responsible for.
Yeah. God, no. Like I just, with me, like I'm busy. I'm very busy, but there's just like stuff where that I feel like I don't have that responsibility that you do, like where you're like, oh no, I actually have to do this. I put myself in this hole, like I dug this hole myself. Do you get it? But no, fair enough. But you like what you do anyways.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, I love what I do. So like being in kind of the youth workspace is like something I'm really passionate about, and seeing kind of young people's lives changed from point A to point B, no matter what that is. So it could be from like getting out of bed and like, slowly going out and seeing people, to kind of starting with nothing and then going off to university. Both of those journeys are completely valid, and it's just so beautiful to see.
Oh, that is lovely. I actually did volunteer at a youth club so long ago. I literally I don't remember. I still have a drawing that one of the kids did of me. Like that's the thing that reminds me of my time there. And it was really lovely, and I guess I found it quite rewarding. And I always liked volunteering and stuff, and sometimes I feel like I just don't have time to volunteer at the moment, which is why my work now is in non-profit, because I'm just if I can't fit in the volunteering, I might as well just do my full time there. Lovely. So as you guys know, we like to practice gratitude, so I'm gonna ask Darius, what are you grateful for, whether it's recent or just you've always been grateful for?
I think I'm grateful for 3 things.
Okay, lovely.
So, first and foremost, before anything, I'm grateful to God, because girl, if you knew, I'm grateful. I'm really also grateful to my parents as well. They support with so much. Like I messaged them before coming here, and they were like, all the best, like hope it goes well.
Shout out.
Really sweet. And both of my parents are really creative, so a lot of the creativity I have comes directly from them. And also I think I'm just really grateful for the people that I have in my life, except people like you, absolutely amazing. But so many of my friends and family, they're just incredible and loving and supportive. Just grateful for all of them as well.
That is great. Thanks for shouting out me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is so great. And a lot of people do say that, and even my last guest was like, oh, I feel like everyone says, I'm like, yes, because it's such a big thing. Community is such a big thing, and people, when they say their parents or their family and things like that, I'm like, some people can't survive without their family, or can't survive without their friends and things like that, or can't survive without God. Whether it's loads of people say it doesn't matter, because it's such a big thing. So lovely. So we're gonna get to know Darius in this episode. And by the way, does anyone call you Victory for you or something?
Every so often.
So
Victory for you is kind of like my brand name for things that I will be developing in the near future, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Okay.
So things are coming. But yeah, people have either called me Victory for you. Sometimes I've had someone walk up to me and call me Victor, and I'm like, that's actually not my name. I am not Victor Kunda. Big up you, but I'm not. But yeah, it's variations of my name. So.
Yeah. I feel like it's a fair assumption to make though, oh, that's Victor.
I'm like, read the rest of my Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I was going to ask you, where were you born? Where did you grow up? And what's your cultural background?
So I was born in the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford.
Okay.
Also found out lots of my friends were also born there as well, which I'm just like, woo.
Fantastic. Yeah, woohoo.
And then, so I grew up in a place called Bicester, which is like within the Oxfordshire area, so not too far away from there.
Yeah.
But my life has always consisted and existed around those spaces. So like families lived in Oxford. I've like been and lived in Bicester, going to school there, all of that. And cultural background from Jamaica through and through. If I had a Jamaican flag right now, I'd be waving it, but I do not.
I should have brought one for you. Yeah. Okay, nice. So you mentioned growing up in Bicester, you went to school there and stuff. How was it like finding yourself in a place like Bicester? I don't know whether it's very like predominantly white there, the schools and stuff. Yeah, because I mean, like, because in Oxford it was, and you would think that Oxford's a bit more diverse, but it wasn't for me anyways. I think now it definitely is. But what about you?
Yeah, it was really hard. I think there's often a thing with like specifically like black children going through the education system, especially in predominantly white spaces, that is really difficult. And I experienced that. I think in my primary school I was one of, I think, 10 children of colour in the whole school. And I think I was one of 2 black people in like the whole school. So it kind of, and then those 2 people, me and this other boy, we would often get like confused with each other.
Of course, yeah.
Despite the fact that we looked completely different.
Yeah.
Like I'm of darker complexion, he's of a lighter complexion. To be fair, our names were very similar, like as in there was literally the first letter of our name that was different.
Yeah.
So I get it in that context, but fundamentally very different people.
Yeah.
So I'd be blamed for things that he did.
No, stop.
Yeah, so there'd be times that just like, it's like, oh, I saw you running across the school. And it's like, first of all, I don't run, so I don't know why you're bringing my name into this. But yeah, I'd often be blamed for things. But then also racism, just it was a very prevalent thing. So existing in that space, I went through a lot. And like, I think because you're there with other children and those children kind of regurgitate what they hear at home or what they see in the news or what they see in the society around them. So I got the full kind of brunt of that. So I remember in school, I think it was like year 5 or year 6, people were making like whip noises around me.
Oh no.
Being like, oh, come on, like dance la little slave. And I was like, sorry, what? But yeah, things like that happened like a lot. And then it's annoying because it almost takes you as a child having to almost educate your teacher why that isn't right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole breed of difficulty, but we made it through.
We made it through. Honestly, I don't know how, but we did. Yeah, that is, you know, like with me, I definitely faced like that type of racism as well, being called a slave and things like that. And it's so sad that when I was that age, I had to pick the battles that I knew were worth it or weren't, because all of them were valid, and I should have probably spoken out about all of them, but I was like, is this one worse or is this one better, and which one should I complain about, or can I complain, or will this backlash on me, you know, which is not something a child should ever have to go through. And whether it's better now or not, there's still other places where it's just not, like there's nowhere near as much education on the topic as there is now, like as there is here. So yeah, it's so difficult, like the school, like to grow up in a school where it's predominantly white. I think that obviously for the white person, they're like, how can it be difficult, because you know, and they're not going through it. But it's like on my days, like I fried my hair to a crisp because everyone like called me ugly and like called me that, like made me feel undesirable. And not that I even wanted to be desired, but it's just because they pointed out the fact that I wasn't desirable. And so I would fry my hair to crisp, and it was horrible. And like I just wanted to be like the other girls that were, I guess, liked. Which like sometimes I cry looking back at my old pictures, because I'm like, I don't think you understand how beautiful you are. Like I was and still am so beautiful. So I'm just like, I literally don't get it. And I think sometimes people think like, oh, you're conceited, or you know, when I'm just like, I'm literally like there's just no question about it.
That right there is a fact.
Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we debating this, man? there's no argument. And when I do this, like maybe some people think it's too much or it's a bit like, but I'm just like, I have to do this because like especially for younger me, and especially for younger girls that are watching me and I look like them, I want them to believe that they are beautiful, because like there might be outside noise that's making you feel like you're not, but like that is just straight up lies. It's straight up insecurity, it's straight up projection, it's straight up racism, it's straight up like prejudice, like you're just beautiful. And I hate that, like, when you're a child, you just can't tell what's the truth and what isn't. You just know what you're being told. So yeah.
And it's really hard. And I think also the whole thing around, like, as you said, picking your battles, it's like fighting against being kind of like the angry black child or the angry black boy or the angry black girl, fighting against that. And it's actually like, okay, so if I shout and scream right now, not only will I be punished worse than like any other child, I'll be seen as the issue, the problem, the this, the that. And then when you're battling that, that's often where we don't say anything. And that, like, our like parents' generation and the grandparents' generation, they've grown up with that mentality. It was like, you know, me can't rock the boat, you know, me can't rock it because me rock the boat, you know.
I'm rocking the damn boat like Leo, bruh.
But yeah, it's almost like, I think we're now in a generation where we're comfortable with making those waves and they're acceptable and they're the right things to do. So instead of just sitting there and sitting in the mess that, you know, got us taken on ships over to America. Back.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, exactly. And I think that our parents' generation or generations before, like, actually didn't have the privilege. Like, there wasn't legislation in place that would stop you from getting killed without speaking out and stuff like that. So because we, like, as we move forward, I always say speak more. Like, the more like you have protection by law, the more, like, as much as you think, oh, this is just like words and things will still happen, it's true, but like it still gives us more of an opportunity to like speak about how we feel and give out our actual opinions about how we're being treated. I wanted to ask you, because you do advocate for mental health quite a lot, and I just wanted to ask, like, when and why did you like just decide, like, you know what, I'm gonna be very vocal about this? Because I feel like you do bring it up, like at like every single, like, for example, men's mental health, like just like at every single aspect. You don't choose like one little thing, which I think most people do, or they're just like, oh, I have ADHD, so I'm just going to speak about ADHD. But you speak about it quite broadly. So when did that like start for you?
I think anything that I advocate for or support or stand up for comes from me being bullied a lot as a child. So I was bullied from the ages of 7 until 15, 16. So it's like a wide spectrum of time. And like, it wasn't just racial. It was like some sexual things, unfortunately, which resulted in like assault and all those other things, which was not great. And that detrimentally affected my mental health. But I think also growing up, not just within a black household, but I think more specifically within a Jamaican household and a Christian household, speaking about mental health was quite difficult. Not because it should be necessarily, but just because like culturally, like in Jamaican culture, if you speak about, you know, things that are affecting you or things that are going on in your mind, just like, you're crazy, you're mad, like, why you bring this foolishness in the house? It's things like that. And it's like, well, actually, no, I am depressed. So I think now it's like really boldly advocating for those things, because actually there have been many people, black people, like men, women, non-binary people, literally everyone, who have gone through so many things and not been able to speak because they've been in situations where it's like, well, if I speak out and say like I'm actually struggling, well, I'm going to be seen as crazy, or I'm going to be seen as stupid, I'm going to be seen as this. And I kind of wanted to be in a position where I'm like, okay, actually, I'm going to say these awkward things, these things that are like uncomfortable. So like when I was also serious trigger warning, when I was 15 years old, I tried to end my life for the first time. There were multiple other times after that, unfortunately, but that's a very significant point in my life, because I am now 26, almost 27. I did not expect to have the 12 years that I've now lived. So advocating for kind of being able to have safe spaces to speak about mental health, being able to have safe spaces to actually speak about different things that may be like not directly linked to mental health, but are, because, you know, they affect our lives, are really important. So I occupy those spaces quite a lot. So whether that's in youth workspaces, whether that is, you know, in my wider family and being in a space where I'm like, I know we don't want to talk about these things, but actually, like not recently, last 3 years, like we've all been through like grief because like we've had grandparents pass and all of those kind of things. And that's been a difficult thing because some people want to talk about it, some people don't. Some people that really evidently and outwardly affects them mentally, and some people it doesn't, and they just hold it, but then they have outbursts, and it's like, well, actually, if we talked about this, maybe we'd all be in a better place. And it's also the same in like church spaces as well. So like even within the Bible, it has very clear kind of expectations around like you should be speaking about these things, and you should be like praying, and you should be like seeking good counsel about all these different things. So the idea that, you know, Christians shouldn't see therapists makes no sense. And like, yeah, it's all of those kinds of different things. It's like, how can we continue to advocate for just people to be able to live healthy, happy lives and not have kind of mental ill health as that stumbling block?
Yeah. And I think like with the things you're mentioning as well, I think culture takes over quite a lot. When people say like, oh no, Christians don't do this, or Jamaicans don't do this, or whatever, it's like, no, that's not actually true, by the way. Like, this is something that is, you know, it's generational, and it's something that like has like seeped his way through with patriarchy and like all of that stuff. Everything's intersectional, by the way. And it's created like this way where we think that everything is cultural when really it doesn't have to be. And like, yes, maybe sometimes you think like, no, culturally we don't do this, or culturally we do this. Try to think of the negative impacts of how we're doing things. And I think that culture is like religion's biggest like enemy, because it's the same way people see like Islam and things. They're just like, this looks horrible. Or like even the way people see Christians, and they think that they're all these like republic people who are like, you know, but that's not the way it is. That all of those things are culture, and that's why you're putting them in a certain box. Whereas like you see a lot of very, very different people that come from the same religion, and that's because there's no certain culture that like falls under it. So like, speaking of like the conversations that you had in your household, you said it was hard, but I wanted you to kind of elaborate on how that was, how the conversations were.
I think so. The reason it was hard, it wasn't hard because of any specific person. It was hard because of like those cultural expectations. So it's like many young men have grown up with the phrase like man up or be a man, which I personally think are actually really toxic things to say, especially when you're saying them to a boy who's like 5 years old, which, you know, genetically they are not a man. They are still a child. So it's things like that which made it a bit more difficult to kind of be more open and say like, actually, I'm really struggling with X thing, or this person's bullying me, or this person's this. And then also, unfortunately, some of those things happened in church spaces. So churches are meant to be safe spaces. Like being Christians, we are meant to be people who, you know, are kind and loving and all of those kind of things. But when you experience people who aren't, and they misrepresent who Jesus is, you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. So I experienced that quite a lot, and that's what made it kind of really difficult to kind of express and say certain things, which is why, unfortunately for me, it took a really kind of nasty turn, because obviously I didn't just one day think like, oh, I don't want to live anymore. It was like something that happened over a period of time. So I kind of started to kind of have feelings of, and then it really went into depression by the age of 8, then anxiety by the age of 9. By 10, I wasn't eating properly, so I had like a really weird relationship with food, and that was the whole thing, and I'm still dealing with it to this day. And then kind of going through different things that are assault based, which again, if a man opens up saying like, oh, I've been sexually assaulted, that's also really difficult to open up about.
Oh, please.
Because it's like, well, you should have fought back, you should have done this, you should have done that. And I'm just like, okay, I was a child through all of it.
I can't even. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm literally a keyboard warrior when it comes to this. Like, I actually don't care. Like, and like when I see like loads of comments, like a man like that comes out and says like I was sexually assaulted by so, and then the comments are like, haha, like lucky you, or haha, like couldn't you have just punched him in the face?
Yeah.
I'm literally just there, like in the comments, like every single comment. I'm literally like, shut your bitch ass up, like every single, because I get so irritated about this thing. Like, and plus, like, what I think is that if a man, like, which already it's stigmatized to think that a man can be sexually assaulted, right? Already it's stigmatized. So if he thinks that maybe this happened or maybe it didn't, right? He wouldn't have posted about it. If he thinks that perhaps there was a chance that it wasn't sexual assault, he wouldn't have come out about it, because that's how stigmatized it is for men, that they don't even feel like they can actually come out and say it unless they know that that's what happened to them. So like, and to be fair, same with women as well, like, because it's so stigmatized that no one wants to speak about it, and there's a lot of victim blaming that's going on.
Way too much.
No one comes out without being sure that this happened to them. Like, no one's like, I don't know, but I'm just going to post it. Like, no, that's not what happens. So that's why I get really irritated at those types of comments, because I'm just like, I'm literally going to slap the shit out of everyone. Like, this is something that irritates me so much, you know? And, yeah, like, and then when a woman gets sexual assault and they're like, what about the men that get sexual assault? I'm like, I'm gonna show you all the comments you lot made when men came out.
Because it's always when people, and that's the like misogyny and the patriarchy, because when people bring that up, it's like, first it's like, oh, happy International Women's Day. What about International Men's Day? It's on the
There is
19th
one.
of November. Like, calm yourself.
Like, there is one.
There's literally a day. But it's all of those things, and it's like, okay, if you actually cared,
Yeah.
like, we wouldn't be in this whole thing. Like, recently there's been lots of different things with kind of EDL, like people who are going to different places where immigrants have come over, and they, granted, they have done some not great things, but they are furious about the fact that, you know, a brown man has raped someone. But what about all of the white men who consistently rape women?
Honestly, doesn't matter what color they are, because they're all men.
Exactly.
But anyways, like, let's move on. I just can't even. Like, I'm just sick of it. And like, there was also another one where it was like, oh, are we, like, I think it was a man, it was disgusting. I think he had just done some weird ass stuff, and someone was like, are we surprised it's Ahmed? Are we surprised that that's his name? I'm like, I just don't understand where this comes from, because like, it's not even like a thing where it's like more people do. It's just like, no one should go through this. Like, I just don't get it. Oh, yeah. But anyways, let me not start screaming, you get me?
Oh. Yeah, but that's kind of like why that was really difficult to explain. But the good thing for me, and I think for many people who do have a relationship with God, that made it a lot easier. So the reason I am still alive today, I believe, is that God saved me. Like, I was on the ledge ready to physically jump, and it was literally hearing God's voice being like, no, Darius, like, don't do this. And yeah, kind of from that day onwards, I was like, okay, Jesus, we can't do this thing.
Like this.
we can't do this, because it's me and you. And something I think I said to like some friends recently, actually some colleagues at work, if you knew me prior to me knowing Jesus, you would have hated me.
No, stop.
No, I kid you not. You would have hated me, because I am not the way I advocate for things, the way I stand up for things, the way, you know, I actually examine masculinity and look into it and think like, oh, maybe like we shouldn't be doing these things, are all because of Jesus. I kid you not. Because prior to that,
you used to be a little bigot.
I was not the person I am now. But yeah, it was like all of those things, because it was like, and also it's really, unfortunately, quite easy. So many people have seen things like Adolescence. So that storyline and that pipeline, unfortunately, is so easy. And most boys are a couple of steps away from that happening to them. And like, it only takes like a couple of bullying incidents, a couple of other incidents, a couple of like exposure to certain things where you're like, oh, okay, so these people over here don't like me, these people over here don't like me, but I found my place online where someone like Andrew Tate saying like, oh my gosh, yeah, stand up and do this, let's beat women, all of that disgusting stuff, and then you turn and you're like, oh yeah, like maybe I should carry a knife around with me, and maybe I should do all of these things, and then we have that story that has happened repeatedly. So yeah, it's really, that is why I'm very, very, very grateful I have Jesus in my life, because if I didn't, it would be a different story.
Oh, wow. Well, we're glad you found Jesus, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but no, speaking of that, like pipeline and things, like we had to do a preventing radicalization course at work, because we work at a non-profit. So, and it was just literally said, if the child feels lonely, like they are high risk, like anyone who is like by themselves, or anyone who's been pushed out or bullied, and it happens, like, you know, I'm not saying that if you're bullied, that's it, you're already like, that's one path that you're going down. There's so many different paths, but it's so easy to want a community that you will suddenly be in a very radicalized community you don't even realize you're in. And that's why so many people are like, oh, I didn't even realize I was in a cult for 12 years, because like that's just how easy it is to get into it. It's not something that like you can really fight your brain against unless someone is actively educating you, which is why it's like, it's good to have that type of education, like in school and stuff, like make it mandatory, which we're going to talk about later as well. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, because we were talking about like Jamaican culture and things like that. Do you find yourself rejecting certain practices and ideals largely associated with Jamaican culture? Because I know you mentioned with the mental health and the stigmatization of that, but wanted to talk largely more about the practices and things like that in culture.
I guess like culturally, if I was to go to Jamaica, or if I was to mingle with other Jamaican people, there'd be vast differences. So, for example, personally, I don't partake in the weed. If you want to, big up you. I do not. But because that's an association with Jamaican culture, I have many a time been approached by predominantly white people, to be fair, and be like, yo, mate, you want any weed? Bear in mind, I'm like 12 at this point, and they're like a fully grown man.
Oh yeah, in my lunchbox.
I'm ready to just...
Yeah.
But yeah, so things like that, reject, because I'm like, it's not really me.
Yeah.
I think also there are certain religious practices that happen in Jamaica that I'm kind of like, no.
Yeah.
Like, not personally, because like, again, Christian, so I wouldn't do that anyway.
Okay. Is that religious practices relating to Christianity but a different?
No. Okay. So it's like different religious practices, which understandably, like if you're locked into a faith, you're not going to tend to do another.
Yes, so. That makes sense.
So yeah, like Rastafarianism, again, all big up to everyone who does that. Good for you, but like it's not for me.
Yeah.
I think also like this isn't even like major, this is just like slightly smaller, and Jamaicans don't kick me out. Don't kick me out, okay? Yeah. Like there's certain foods I'm not the biggest fan of.
Oh, stop!
I know. That's why I said Jamaicans don't kick me out. So like,
what do you not like?
So ackee, the saltfish part, I'll eat all day every day. But the ackee, I'm just
separating it on the
just why is it there? Like I don't want it. And like I'm not the biggest fan of mango. I know.
You hate mango?
I know.
Okay. Cut the show. Now I'm like, wait, so have you tried mango outside of the UK?
Yeah.
Where?
Jamaica.
And you didn't like Jamaican mango?
I'm not the biggest fan of like fruit generally. Like,
fair enough.
Give me a vegetable all day, every day.
Same. We're locked in because I love vegetables, but fruit, I'm like, what? I don't have time to eat fruit, bro.
Hey, something like a strawberry. I'm sorry. Why do you have your seeds on the outside? Why? Because this don't make sense. Why are you here?
I'll peel the strawberry.
And yeah, so like those are like my things.
Yeah.
But, like, there's nothing major. Like, and then also I would say like, to be fair, like anywhere, Jamaica is quite a violent place.
Okay.
So there's often lots of gun crime, lots of knife crime, lots of all of those kind of things. Which isn't fantastic
Yeah.
and, you know, isn't great, but often gets glorified in the music that's produced out of Jamaica.
Okay.
So it's almost trying to like balance, like, I love like the culture of Jamaica, but also I think like anywhere that you live or anywhere that you've grown up from, it's acknowledging like, yes, there is a lot of good, but also there's a lot of bad, and acknowledging both is honouring that culture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I don't know about like, because, okay, here's my thing. I feel like so much of the music that comes out of that, yes, they like sometimes are like, yeah, shoot up this guy, but I feel like it's also good that they had that outlet of music, you know, and then so that's, I think a lot of the time that's why I enjoy the music part, and I'm just ignoring everything else, all the lyrics. I'm just like, well, at least, you know, they're singing along and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, that's nice. And I also think that it's important to separate what you like and what you don't like about culture, because, you know, and I speak about this a lot. I rejected Sudani culture like big time, because I literally picked out the things I don't like, and I'm like, all right, that's it. Like, I couldn't even be bothered to look at what I liked, because I focused so much on everything I didn't like. I focused on how the community reacted to certain things. I focused on how they would speak about me as a person. I focused on how they would treat my parents or my siblings. I focused on how like my friendships were with other Sudani people. And I also spoke about subconsciously putting in the back of your mind, this person's Sudani, like, you know, and it's like something might happen, and like I'm looking for any opportunity to be like, well, I knew you would do something like this, you know, and you know, I've been fucked over by every other culture in the world, so it's not just the Sudani people, but it's just about like picking the things that you don't like. Will always, like, you will always have the things you don't like in your subconscious mind. So I think it's important to have a look at what you actually do like about your culture, and, you know, all the foods you like, all the music you like, all the practices you like, all of that stuff. And once I started looking into what I did like about Sudani culture, suddenly I didn't reject it so much, and I decided that this is a part of me. No one could push me out. No one can tell me you're not Sudani enough, or you're not, you know, you're not this way, or you're not that way, so you can't be, you know. And they do this a lot to Sudani people that came out of Sudan, basically. And they have this certain uniqueness about them. And I speak about this in my episode about safe spaces, where like we're not third culture kids, we're like fourth or fifth culture kids, because, you know, we're so far removed from Sudan because we've been so pushed out. So we're suddenly like, and, you know, and there's certain women, because it's mostly women that are being pushed out, that are acting in a way that's so like crazy, and like, so they just think like, wow, this is insane. I'm like, yeah, but you've just pushed them out so much that they're like, you know, they're talking about how horrible Sudan is on the internet because they feel that way, because you made them feel that way. But I guess there's loads of nuances to that, isn't there?
Definitely.
Yeah, and about how people feel about their culture being represented. But yeah, I think we just need to give some more like space for people to be themselves and still feel like part of a community, because it's sad to feel like you're not part of your own country.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also what's interesting about Jamaican culture specifically is it's so integrated into Black British culture, and which
That's
has
true.
kind of become into like general British culture, because like people will, for better or for worse, will come up to you and will say like wagwan, and you're like, that's not how it's said, but okay.
What's that?
It's just like, what language are you speaking?
Yeah, bro.
But it's like things like that. And then again, if you listen to like different genres of music, there is different influences in different spaces. So it's like, there's lots to love. There's lots that I do love about it. Like, obviously, it's the place that my family's from. It's the place where, you know, my grandparents grew up. It's the place where, you know, not only did they grow up, they met and fell in love and then came over here and all that kind of stuff. So it's beautiful in that respect to me. And like, I could think naturally, gorgeous place.
Yeah.
But then I think it's, yeah, when you do think about those nuances of like, oh, you know, maybe if, you know, yes, we talked about the fact that, yes, there is violence here, but actually maybe talked about maybe anti-violence instead.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe like not leaning into the fact that like, oh, you know, maybe I shoot them up, would I?
Yeah.
Instead of doing that,
Yeah.
maybe being like, okay, like, this person really annoyed me. Okay, this is less fun, and I'm hearing it as I'm saying it, but it's just like, this person really annoyed me, and instead of doing this, let's have a conversation, please, because too many people are dying.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's too much.
Yeah, facts. It is too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about your interests that obviously you speak about and I guess are pretty obvious about you. And one of them is definitely fashion. So when did you first start having an interest in fashion?
Fashion for me is, again, cultural, and comes from my grandmothers. So both of them made clothes for the family and all of those kind of different things. And then my mum made clothes for me when I was younger. And then, yeah, it's just been like this thing, I think, from about 5 years old. I was like, I'm going to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
And
from then on,
don't get me wrong, I have no path to get there. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But it's more of just like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So therefore, I've just kind of inserted myself into different fashion spaces. So since I was about 19, I've been back and forth to London Fashion Week. I've grown like a good friendship base within the fashion industry. So lots of brilliant, amazing people who are like models and photographers and makeup artists and creative directors and all of those kind of different things. Those are the people I'm kind of like occupying that occupy a lot of like my time and my space. So yeah, and it's interesting, like I've got a really close family friend who before he got into modeling, his mum came to me and was like, Darius, which modeling which modeling agency should we go with? I'm just like, send them to me. I looked through the whole website, looked through like all of the different like cards they had on the website and was like, okay, so for now he's 16, send him to this one because he will have a bit more longevity with this one. If you send him to the other one, he'll be there like a year. And which is true, he was at the other agency which I suggested and he was there and successful for about 3-4 years. And after that it was kind of like, you've now grown up and now bye. Which unfortunately modeling agencies do.
That is what happens, yeah.
So, but yeah, no, fashion is always been a thing. And it, because like all of my interests, so whether it is fashion, whether it is, you know, talking about things I'm passionate about, they're all linked because I think for myself, fashion and how we present ourselves has a lot to do with kind of our outlook on life and how we feel about ourselves. It's not just about like how comfortable they are, but it's actually how they make us feel. So this kind of what I'm wearing, this is a representation of me, my culture, my life, and all of those different things. So all of the pins, me and my mum together, we placed on together for the look I wore last year to London Fashion Week.
Yes, I remember.
So yeah, so that, and it's very specific. So when people came to me, it's just like, oh, like I really like your outfit. Why is it this way? And then I'm like, oh, so like this represents this and this represents this. So the I'm only wearing the top half of it. The bottom half was basically like this wrap skirt over trousers, and then that wrap skirt represents part of Jamaican culture because there's a dance in Jamaica called the quadrille where they would wear basically tartan print, so it'd be like, it would look like a kilt. So therefore that was like my subtle nod. It's like, this is like this really subtle nod to Jamaican culture, but you have to ask me to be able to understand why it's there.
True, yeah.
So yeah, I love fashion. Again, there's lots to dislike about fashion. For example, the lack of sustainability, like all of these other things which exist. Like, you know, if you're still shopping on Temu and Shein, cut it. I beg, just cut it now.
Unsubscribe if you want. No, I'm joking. That's insane. But no, I saw that France did a thing where like influencers are banned from like not sponsoring, but like basically showing off that they got Shein hauls and like Temu
whatever it is,
hauls.
nasty.
Yeah, but like I tell people like, yeah, fast fashion is really bad and stuff, and they're just like, oh, but where am I supposed to shop? But then I show them the difference in fast fashion, because yes, there's fast fashion that's like, yes, they're producing what 10,000 or 20,000 a year, and I'm like, but if you look at the difference to what Shein and Temu are producing, it is so much worse that I would rather you go for the worst, like for the
exactly,
you know what I mean, the better of the two bad ones, you know. But I guess people don't really look into it and they're just like, I like this, and they buy it.
And it's also like the democratization of fashion, because fashion generally is so expensive. So if you think about like, if you have a child and you have to buy them clothes and they're growing, the idea of, for example, buying them Louis Vuitton or something like that, which one, don't do that for your picnic. Don't do that. That don't make no sense. But like, if you're going to do that, like, okay, if they're 5, then by the time they're like 5.5, they've already run out of it, and you're like, you spent how much?
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. It's a ute. Like, it's fine this small. The kid is this small. Oh my days. I don't even get a designer for myself. Like, and I'm probably as grown as I'll ever be. But like, I did a little kid. Oh my God, I will die on this hill.
And don't get me wrong. Like, if I see the pictures, I'm going to like it because it's adorable. But, like, you spent how much?
Oh no, that's insane.
And then the unfortunate thing on that is, just because it's designer doesn't mean it's sustainable and doesn't mean it's better for the planet. Because these bigger companies like LVMH are just as detrimental as the Sheins and the Temus, even the ASOSes, which I say with a broken heart because, like, it's sad because it's like that's the majority of the spaces where people are purchasing from because they can afford that.
Exactly.
But then it's like, okay, so if I try and buy something that is more expensive, that means I can't afford it. That's not like necessarily the end of the world. It just means like, how can we shop smarter? So say, for example, if you have something right now, which is from ASOS, the majority of this outfit is, like, it doesn't mean never, ever, ever go back there ever again, specifically if you're in a financial situation that doesn't make that possible.
Yeah.
Actually, it's buying smarter. So looking at a piece and thinking like, okay, will I get multiple wears out of this? Like, if you're just buying a piece for like your birthday or your bestie's birthday or for a holiday, scrap that idea. Pack it up. Because you will wear it once and then next couple of weeks you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm either going to throw it out and we're going to put on vintage. Don't get me wrong, vintage's cute, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's about buying for like the lifetime of the piece of clothing. So like, these items that I have on now will be worn for a considerable amount of time before, not even before they're thrown out, before I mend them or change them, all of those kind of things. So yeah, it's just being smarter about what we wear, how we wear it, and then it helps the planet as well.
That's so true, yeah. I think you guys should watch, it's called Buy Now on Netflix, and it literally shows you, oh my days, like, this guy, he said something, and I'm not quoting, but it was something like, people like to say I'm throwing it away, but do you know where away is? Like, you're just throwing it away and it just, that's it. Like, your mind is like, it's gone, but where is it going? Like, think about where it's going. And also it was showing like Michael Kors bags and stuff that were just slashed so people won't use them, and just on the street. And like, I think it was like Bath and Body Works or something. They took out all the shampoo gel, threw it out so homeless people wouldn't use the shampoo. Like, it's just so much that we don't really think about. And I think it really did open my eyes. So if you guys want to watch it, give it a watch if you want to know more about like overconsumption and things like that.
And it also leads to colonization because like, so much of the waste goes to places like Africa. And like, there are mounds and mounds, I think it's in Ghana or somewhere like that, where there are mounds and mounds of our waste, whether it's clothing waste, whether it's food waste, whether it's all these different waste, that is just there. And one, that's not fair. And two, it's like, that's a ridiculous thing that actually, when we think we are disposing of things properly, that's where they're actually ending up.
Oh my God, literally. And there was a guy on the documentary, and he was a waste investigator. The moment we need a waste investigator, like, we're already like at the worst part. He was looking and seeing where the waste was going, and it was like a recycling center, I think in like Austria or something. And then he was like, okay, it's gone to the Philippines, where there's like young boys breaking it apart with their hands. Like, I literally wanted to cry looking at this. I was just like, how, like, a waste investigator, guys, there's just no way, like, we're completely, oh God. But I feel like I need a whole episode on overconsumption, to be fair, because it's quite a big topic to cover. But yeah, so we've spoken about the fashion aspect. I wanted to speak about like your interest in dance. I know you're going to be dancing at the Oxford Half while I'm running.
I'll be sure you are.
I'm going to be fainting. But you know, if I see you, yeah. So when
say if you will.
No, because I will faint. I'll be in the first fainting. I need to start the training at So yeah, when did you first start having an interest in dance?
So, hopefully this is a cute story.
Okay.
So, before I was born, my dad was a DJ and still is a DJ.
Yeah.
But when I was in my mum's stomach, he put speakers on my mum's belly, and I was basically dancing from the womb. So dance has literally always been a part of my life.
OMG!
Yeah.
Stop, that's so cute! Baby Darius! Not got much space, but I can shimmy.
So yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then my first proper dance performance was at my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh.
So it was like their golden jubilee, all really, really lovely. And I don't know who, but there was this like one of these uncles, lovely uncle, but just one of these uncles who called me up on stage. And again, Jamaican culture, we call things different things. So a handkerchief in this context was called a kerchief.
Okay.
So he was like, "I wave your kerchief, wave your kerchief, wave your kerchief." So little Darius was like, woo, on stage in front of my grandparents, waving this kerchief, dancing in front of everyone.
Oh.
I like, this was like our whole family was there, and I was just like, oh yeah, this was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's literally always been a thing that I've done. So been able to perform over in Slovakia, performed here in the UK, in London and Manchester, etc. I've performed in Los Angeles a couple of times at the Oscars, at the Golden Globes, Monaco Grand Prix, Monaco Yacht Show, all these different places. Also on BBC One's The Greatest Dancer. So yeah, different places. But
you are amazing. Can I just say, like, man, we all can learn something from Darius, I think. You just, like, I feel like you've accomplished so much, and like I think it's amazing to see, especially giving your backstory and about how like you obviously didn't have this ambition and you didn't think you'd be here, you know, and like now you're doing all of this, and you give people so much happiness seeing you be like authentic and just like, you know, like that's how I met you, because I was literally like, wow, he's so cool, bro. Like I literally just followed him on Instagram. I was like, this guy's cool. And then we met at Forstein's, because everyone meets at Forstein's birthday. So that's like, she's like the communal person. But yeah, that's lovely to see. I love that you've accomplished so much, and I can't wait to see like what more you can, because I know you're so capable of it, and like we can see you getting there as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you would like, could you please tell us more about your role in Make It Mandatory and how it all began? We've had Forstein on to kind of explain the whole Make It Mandatory thing, but how did your role begin in it?
Yeah, so Forstein, the incredible human that she is, basically contacted me and was like, Darius, I've started this petition, could you help like with this campaign? And I mean, that's bestie. So I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna help.
Yeah.
But then obviously like learning more about it and all those kind of things, it was using like areas of my expertise to come in and be like, oh, okay, like not only is this a real issue, but also like how can I support? So I sit more in the space of like comms support, but then also earlier on in the campaign facilitation in classrooms. So because like youth work is my background, that was like a really, really great thing to be able to do. So we went into 2 different schools, one in London and one in Oxfordshire. Mm-hmm. It was really interesting. So we delivered what we basically wanted to be put onto the curriculum, or idea of. So then if and when, definitely when, the government finally gets that together and is like, yeah, we're going to make it mandatory. Yeah. We're like, here are the session plans that we've already done them for you. So we delivered it to the schools, and we made sure that, you know, mixed gender classroom and all of those kind of things. And within it, we go over loads of different topics around domestic abuse, coercive control, and in both of them, we got to the part around like the romanticization of stalking, and we specifically look at a clip from one of the Twilight films. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know which one. I don't really care for Twilight like that, but I know it's in there.
I know
but
there's a wolf there.
There's a wolf, there's a vampire, someone can learn all that. But we show a clip where Bella is being stalked by Edward.
Right.
And but it's done and put in such a way that it almost feels romantic.
Okay.
And we show it in isolation, obviously not the whole film, to the class. And before we did it, there were some boys at the back of the class who was like, well, there's nothing wrong with wanting to know where your girlfriend is. That's like really normal. I was like, hold that thought. Let's watch the clip.
Yeah.
And we watched the clip and they were like, oh my goodness, that's really creepy. I was like, yes, because stalking is not a normal part of a relationship, like at all.
Yeah.
So being in those spaces and being able to, like, as you said earlier, like, challenge some of those ideas, because like misogyny and patriarchy is so embedded into like our existence, unfortunately, in humanity now, to be able to break through it and be like, actually, like, these behaviors aren't normal. Like, this level of toxicity is not normal. So like, to like, understandably, there is a level of like, if you love someone, you're like, oh, like, I want to check if you're okay, that is fine, that's normal. But if it's like you're stalking them, you have to know where they are at every point of every single day, that's not okay. So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved, and then obviously we've been back and forth to and from Parliament and Downing Street, all of those kind of different things. The petition's doing really, really well. There's been some recent guidance that's come out from the government, which, like, in many respects is pretty good, but still doesn't have our ask in there, because there is no push yet for the extension of RSE to post 16. But we believe it will happen, because it's so vitally important for young people to get their education. I believe Forstey mentioned this as well, but like, there is an RSE poll that's done by the Sex Education Forum, which shows that young people want this. So if young people want this, and the government have just lowered the age of voting to 16, then hopefully that will mean that these young people who say that they want this will be able to vote for it as well. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm really, really hopeful that this will happen. I think it's really important for me as a young man to be in this space as well. Because one, to show really clearly that yes, this is something that does disproportionately affect women and girls, but this is not a women and girls issue. This is an issue predominantly of male violence. So if men can't stand up and say, hold up, we need to do something different, like, we cannot keep like staying in this pattern, things won't change. Because like, props to all women, love you all, love you down. You have been doing everything, absolutely everything. And so many men have just been like, oh, this hasn't happened. Like, blah, blah, blah. Now there are like a good amount of men who are standing up and being like, oh, actually, no, we can't continue in this way. This is not normal.
Men definitely need to be part of the conversation, which I think that, you know, like, when they see men speak about it, then it will be easier. And young men like to hear it from other men as well. But we've definitely come to the end of the episode now. So please make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And I will be leaving Darius's Insta. Just Insta, yeah?
I mean, you could do everything. Insta, TikTok.
Like, I'll leave everything.
A little link as well if you want to like professionally connect.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, make sure to give me some love on whatever platform you're on. You know what I'm saying? So goodbye, guys. See you next time.